The Business Owners Podcast is brought to you by Business and Reed-Enever Group with your hosts, Linda Reed-Enever and Clive Enever. In each episode, we talk to other business owners about their experiences, challenges, and successes. We'll also share tips and advice on how to grow your business and achieve your goals. If you're a business owner or you're thinking about starting a business, then the Business Owners Podcast is for you.
Hi everyone, my name's Linda Reed-Enever and welcome to the Business Owners Podcast. The Business Owners Podcast is brought to you by our team at Business and Reed-Enever Group, and it's designed to help you share stories and connect with business owners just like you. Today we're being joined by Kirstin Carey. Kirstin has a number of different careers and morphing into different worlds like we all have in the world of business. And we're very excited to talk about a topic that both Kirstin and I are quite passionate about, and that is sales and marketing without the burnout. Kirstin, would you introduce yourself to our community? Say hi, tell them a little bit about who you are.
Hi, my name is Kirstin Carey, and I guide businesses with high ticket offers to a 50% or more conversion rate on their sales calls without feeling pushy, so that they have enrollments that are fluid and they're easy. And I come from a world of marketing and sales right out of college. Did a lot of work with big businesses, Verizon and UPS, and some of the bigger, well-known guys. But then I became really sick in my 30s and couldn't find answers. And I finally got diagnosis for a couple of autoimmune conditions, celiac disease and Hashimoto's, for those of you who are counting. And I got pulled into the world of health and wellness. And what I learned is a lot of the reason I ended up with autoimmune conditions is because I was burned out. So I went back to school for health and nutrition and how to reverse out these autoimmune conditions, because I was very sure in my 30s I wasn't supposed to feel that old and that bad. So I very much believe that the body could heal itself. I learned how to do that. And then I built a 7-figure business helping other people do that. But my real passion was still in the building of the business and helping other businesses learn how to sell and grow and market. So after 15 years of that, I handed that business back off to some of my other colleagues and friends and moved away from that and went right back into sales and marketing. And so I've been there, done that. I built restaurants while I was in the health and wellness space. I built wellness centers. So I had the brick and mortar piece, and then I went online in 2017 with a high ticket offer. And I learned how to build that as well. So I get the brick and mortar piece, I get the selling a product piece, I get the slight margins, and then how to do high ticket offers online and how to work with big corporate people. So sales and marketing thing to me is if you can not even master, but just get decent at sales and marketing, and then you like what you do on top of it, you're going to be unstoppable.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And I fell into the world of marketing when I was actually going through university to become a teacher. So it was very interesting to me when we fell into the world of marketing. So guys, we're going to talk today about how to do that marketing strategy without burning yourself out. And for those who are members of my community, and I love what I do, Kirstin, I teach now small business owners to do what I do. It's like, you've got an idea, you want to take it to market, cool. Bring it to me. Let's have fun. Let's put that together. So my Impact and Marketing Circle members will hear this all the time. And in fact, one of them repeated it to my husband the other day about the world of time blocking and going into those blocks and into those chunks when you need to get into a marketing area. And I don't know what you think about this, but in our corporate days, when we're working with different teams that would have like creative design or copywriters or people like that. And I think as business owners, we get into the world of marketing and we go, it's just marketing. They don't understand that there's a whole heap of different departments that we need to touch and work with.
Yeah, I agree with you. And this idea that it's just marketing, there's so many levels to it, especially now, because it's like, what is marketing anymore? What medium are you using? Are you using social media? Are you using emails? Are you using some combination of all of the above? Are you paid ads? Which is a whole nother thing unto itself, right? So we need the advertising people and the marketing people and the sales people to all be in one team, but they're very separate pieces.
And they need to communicate with each other, because I know I worked for large corporates. When the large corporates weren't working and they weren't functioning, the marketing team was not communicating with the sales team, that were not communicating with the advertising team. And then you'd have 5 or 6 different campaigns running at once, and not one of them actually led to the outcome that we were looking to be out to get to.
Right. Which is no fun, right? But then you have the sales team who has a very different perspective because they're front facing to the customer in a way that the marketing team is not. So when they can learn how to work together cohesively, it's amazing the feedback that they can take. Or when a marketing team just decides they're going to change something and the sales team hasn't really been updated, and the person that they're talking to knows about it, the prospect, but the sales team hasn't been informed. They're like, oh, there's a new offer. Oh, you got an email about that. I haven't been told about that. So there's some disconnect, I think, on larger teams with some of that too.
Oh, absolutely. And I think as business owners, when we come into this space and we've got these different hats and these different department areas that we need to be into, when we approach our marketing, if we're not approaching it from the point of view of, okay, this is my role as the salesperson within the business. This is my role as the content creator within the business. This is my role as the person who maybe wants to go and get ads, but strongly I suggest as an organic marketer, it's a ball game. Go pay someone who knows what they're doing. I have 2 clients at the moment who want us to run ads. And I'm like, I'll happily design the creatives, but you can talk to an ad specialist for doing those ads. Because understanding the world of marketing, understanding social media, understanding those elements is really quite hard for us in that process. So we need to make sure that all of those divisions talk. Now, one of the things I see in our community and I see for members is we almost get what I call the desperate salesperson heading out and in control of marketing, control of messaging, in control of everything. And the desperate salesperson that's out there going, I don't care what I've got to do. I'm going to make a sale is out there making a sale. I'm interested in your feedback. To me, that's a recipe for burnout and it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
What do you think about that one?
It's a recipe for burnout for the salesperson. It's a recipe for burnout for the team that they're working with. And it's a recipe for burnout for your program, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're in that desperation, even when you are pulling people in, they're typically not the right people. They're the ones that throw everything off. They're the ones who want their money back, or they're the ones who are the bad apple in the group. So they send the rest of your ideal clients off and running. So I think there's burnout on many levels with that.
Oh,
if you're in that desperation space, when you're in the sale where your goal is to make the sale, things are going to go sideways. Your numbers are going to go down. People that should have enrolled won't, because they're going to feel that, they'll smell that desperation on you, and they're going to know you're in it for the sale and not for what's in their best interest. So I've been there where you're looking at your bank account and you're looking at the people on your possible sales for that week, and you're doing the math before it even gets to where I need this many sales to pay the mortgage and pay the. I've been there. I understand it. I step onto my clients' sales teams sometimes just to see what's the reality versus what their salespeople are saying is the reality. So I get it. And I play on teams with some of them sometimes as the team member, because I want to see what the reality of how their managers are working, all of it. But there's a desperation that's different. And when I walk in and I sell, literally on the last team I sold on for one of my other clients, I sold 10 times more than one of their long-term salespeople. And she had all these reasons why that happened. And I'm like, I have no attachment to the outcome of the sale on this the way that you are, because she was worried about money and she was worried. And I think people could just, it wasn't her skills. It wasn't her as a person. She wasn't not likable, like none of it. She was looking at the, I have to make more sales, not I have to make that connection. And people smell that. And you will burn out because you are not resonating within your natural balance of who you really are. And that will come against you. And you will start seeing the fatigue, and you'll seeing the sleeplessness, and you'll see the fear start showing up in the salespeople, which then resonates to the potential buyers.
100%. You know what I was hearing inside of that space, that it wasn't the natural skill, or it wasn't they were so connected to the sale. I'm talking from the position now of the business owner or the salesperson leading this particular team. And I'm talking to that particular person right now because I've been there. I've been in the troubleshooting options, and I've been there where we've got to make a division make more sales. The last thing we want to do to our sales reps or to our employees doing that is, this is our income goal. This is our target. How do we work together as a team rather than I need you to make X amount of sales by the end of this week, or it's completely dead in the water. I come from an organization background where tend to be the little fish guy. I'm happy to get all the little fish together and put them into a meal, and they will feed everyone while someone goes out and gets the big fish. Absolutely happy to do that role. And I've worked with sales reps that are better at the big fish role. they're better to bring in the big fish, but that big fish is only going to feed us for a certain amount of time before it goes off. So you need the little fish coming in throughout that process. So how is it, either as a business owner, as a team manager or something, do we allow our people to make the connection to know that the person we're about to bring in is going to be looked after, they're going to be served well, they're going to have all of those sorts of things, rather than the desperation for the sale, so that we detach the sale being the end goal, but serving the customer being the end goal.
Yeah. And I think that needs to come through top line down. So if the head of the company, if the business owner from the company is panicked, it's going to come through. You're going to see it. But when they come to you, there's a fine line between just letting people meander. You still need to make a certain number of sales. But if you're not treating your people right, and you're not treating your frontline people who are directly in line with what your income is, it's not going to go well. So if you start like nickel and diming them, or you start changing their compensation, or you start changing how you're treating them, it's going to flow through also into that desperation, or into that they're not going to connect the same way, because they're not going to feel excited about the product or the service either. And I see that all the time, where big companies will start looking at their direct numbers and say, look how much money we're giving to the sales team. We should start changing that. Look at the bonuses. I'm like, it's not the money the salespeople are typically after. Salespeople often, they want to be recognized. They want to be seen. They want their feedback to be taken as well. I've sat on sales teams where they've taken our feedback, and in the next round of sales, or the next launch, or whatever it is that we're doing, they've made some changes based on what the sales team told them. That goes a long way. Yep. And so it's a whole different energy where they feel like they're part of everything. They're not just being tossed a product and being told, go close it.
Yep, 100%. And I think
so, big deal.
What you were bringing up there was the really big thing about inclusivity, including each one of these personas in the process, from the marketing person, from the customer service person who has to deliver it, from knowing who we are going to serve as a business to begin with, so that we don't go and get the wrong client in the first place. I don't think that either Kirstin and I are immune to this, guys. We get the wrong client from time to time, and it'll be because we've let down our boundaries. We've not followed our approach. We've said yes when we really
or you wanted it so bad for that person because you knew you could help them, but you had to drag them over the finish line, and we can't want it more than they do.
Exactly. So let's talk about, how do we put up a better sales cycle or a better team inside this space without the burnout, without the strategies? What would you share, Kirstin, we've got business owners listening to the podcast who are running small to medium teams, and then we've got the solopreneurs out there. So if we can maybe look at it in both areas, I think that would be really handy.
The first thing is, I typically work with a lot of business owners where they think they need to hire a team and they're not ready for it yet, but they don't like sales. They don't think they're good at sales. So they think, oh, I'm going to hand this off to someone else. To me, that's the first way to go broke, but that's the first way to have issues with burnout, because you're handing off your direct line sales to someone else. And just because they're good at sales doesn't mean they're going to be better at selling your particular product. So you can't just hand it off and walk away. So if you're in that space, I highly recommend you work with somebody who knows what they're doing when it comes to sales, to say, are you ready for this yet? And even if you do, you should still stay on the sales team for a certain period of time, because I found the business owner typically is going to be better when they know a few things about sales. So that's the first thing. But even if you already have a team, the second thing is really, what is the goal? And I would highly recommend you ask yourself and you ask your team members, what's the actual goal on the sales call? What is it you're here for? And a lot of them are going to say, to make a sale, to get a deposit, to get a credit card, to get a yes. They're going to give you a bunch of answers. That's going to give you some insight on what they're getting through your culture and what they think their job is. What I can tell you the job is, your job is to help them find clarity to a yes or a no. And what I mean for the yes or the no, is this the right product with me or this company right now with this person?
Yes.
And if it's not a clear yes with both of you, then it's a no. And we want to celebrate the no as well. I have celebrated the no with prospects.
Where's the no?
Yes. And I've literally said to them, my job here is not to get you to it's not to convince you to do anything. My job is to help find clarity. Is this a yes for you right now or a no? Is that okay that I help you to get to that clarity? They're like, yes, please. Now we're on the same side of the table, right? And I'm like, and if it's a no, we're going to get to a no, and we're going to be really excited about that. And if it's yes, we're going to get really excited about that too. But my job is clarity. Is that okay? And they're like, all in. I've never had someone say no. Maybe someday I will, but I've never had it. But
And I
now we
think
both have the pressures off and everybody's
that allows
happy.
people to make a decision
Yes. And to
based on what
tell you more
based on
and to
the
trust
information.
you.
Yeah, they trust you.
Exactly. And it allows me to push back. And I'm like, I'm not attached to your yes or no. Is that okay? Yes. Okay, cool. So that allows you also as a salesperson to give them mirrors and pushback. If they say they want X, Y, and Z, and you've told them and you've shown them, and they say, yes, I see X, Y, and Z coming to me from this product or service, but then they get to the call at the end of the call and they're like, no, you're like, okay, help me understand. We saw this. Where's the block? Because I need to better understand what I'm missing here. And they're like, oh, okay. Or I feel some fear. Can you tell me more about that? Again, it's all clarity. It's all curiosity. Is this the right thing or not? I have told people, hey, you know what? Based on all the things that you've said so far, I don't think this is the right thing for you right now. And they're like, really? Why? I'm like, you've said these things. Did I misunderstand? And sometimes I did, or sometimes they didn't reveal, or but we're friends here, right? This is the job.
And I have done that in the past. And some of those people that I've turned around and said, you were just not ready. You're not ready for me. You're not ready for this service. You're not ready for something else. Please get yourself in line. If I had invented the magic marketing pill that everyone could take and their business would be marketed well tomorrow, then I would be out there selling that. I'm not selling that. I'm teaching you how to put your business together. You're doing the same situation here. So sometimes it's going to be a case of no. But those people have either stepped into the level of offering that I normally say, maybe you need to go and do this course or have a look at this or have a look at that. But now they're coming back and they're some of my top clients 5 or 6 years down the track because we created the trust in the know and trust factor.
Yes.
At the very
and
beginning,
trust is
rather than making sales.
Enormous.
Yeah.
And most people don't get that. When you're doing quick action discounts, you're doing forcible time delay, like all of the things, it puts a pressure that they feel. They go into a state of protection or fight back. And then you're in a dance with them where you're trying to convince, and that's not good for anyone. And that sets you into fight or flight. When we go into fight or flight, we're using more resources to try to protect ourselves when we shouldn't really need to.
Yep.
You're using all these extra resources, and then that's where you start the burnout process.
Absolutely.
Because you're in fight or flight unnecessarily on both sides, frankly.
And everyone is inside that space. Look, and guys, I think what we need to understand as business owners and as leaders of teams, and Kirstin was saying this really well before, is you need to stay part of the sales role. You need to be ready to hire. If you hire someone, and I have members in my group at the moment who are looking at hiring and outsourcing and doing that sort of stuff, and even clients of mine, and I'm like, but if you can't follow the processes in communicating to me and my team, how are you going to give that to someone else to be able to do? So you need to know that your processes are documented. A magic salesperson isn't going to come in and fix your whole sales department unless, that's their job and their skill set, like Kirstin and I, that will train, but they're still going to need to ask you questions.
Yep. And you're going to need to still lead them.
And you need to know what your sales team is doing. So if, by all whatever component, the meteor happens to land on your sales department tomorrow, you can log in and know so that the customers still get serviced. You need to know what your customer service division is, because if the meteor lands on that department, you guys need to be able to log in and jump in and get in to do that.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds really drastic and the meteor is not going to land on my whole department, but it can. And if COVID and the pandemic taught us we can be out key members of our staff very quickly and very rapidly.
Yes.
So we need to have those systems in place.
Agreed. And you need to be now more than ever. I've been in business for over 30 years. I've never seen it the way I've seen it even in the last 6 months. Your ability to maneuver and pivot without just giving up because, this didn't work, but understand how to make little shifts that might be 1-degree shifts, but they feel like bigger pivots sometimes. The ability to do that is important, but the feedback from your team becomes really important too, as long as you as the leader also make it safe for them to give you feedback. I've also worked with teams where it's not safe to give the owner feedback. It's not safe to give the leaders feedback because you become a complainer. And I'm like, you're looking for feedback. You have to be able to willing to take that. But then also the sales team needs to recognize the reason you're not selling right now isn't necessarily because all the leads are bad. We gotta start learning, because the sales process is different than it's been in the last 6 months than it's been in the last 6 years.
Changed. Yeah. And the decision-making process. And I've seen it pop up in our group and in a number of other groups. Why is my sales slowing down? And we're in election mode here in Australia at the moment. Elections change things. Easter changes things.
Yes, they do.
Anzac changes, it changes the buyer's decision mode. And I think as business owners, if you see a change in your sales, the first question you actually have to ask is not what's going on in my business. what's going on in the world right now. And I'm going to give everyone a scenario and a workshop. And this is stuff I know, so I should have done better than what I've done in this process. I have been asked to run a workshop for our local community and for our local members inside the area. I looked at my diary and said, I've got a spare Wednesday on the 23rd. I'll be able to run that. Does everyone want me to run this workshop? Okay. What I did not look at when I was looking at this is the 23rd happens to be between the Easter long weekend here in Australia and the Anzac Day long weekend here in Australia. So we have 2 4-day weeks. The kids go back to school on the Tuesday. They've got excursions on the Wednesday. Friday, they're off school. Thursday, we don't know exactly what's going on. So the reality of it is I halved my market by not looking at what was going on in the rest of the world. Now, I could give up. I could go, no, it's not going to make enough money. I could cancel it. I could walk away. I could go all of those sorts of things. But the reality of it is I've looked at who I've got in the room and go, okay, I've got potential members inside that space. I've got people that I actually would really like to get to a next one-on-one retreat, or I'll look at those from the area. So sometimes our failure or sometimes our ability to not fill or not do something because we didn't look at the rest of the world actually opens up the rest of what we need to have inside that space.
Agreed.
And so I've had to pivot. But the pivot that I will make in that workshop is instead of having 15 to 20 people, I'm going to have 8 to 10 people in there that will be highly engaged, that will get an amazing training experience from me, who will turn around and say, okay, cool, great. This is what it's like working with Linda. And lots of them are new to my market. So it's what we talk about in the world of sales and we talk about in the world of marketing, it's the lifetime value of the customer.
Yes.
It's not the initial purchase and it's not the next purchase that they're going to make. It's their lifetime value. So we've been talking lots about providing feedback today. And I would really love to hear from you, Kirstin, on how do we make it safe to provide feedback?
We don't attack people when they tell us stuff we don't like, which I know is really hard. When the business owner, as business owners, we're a different breed. We think differently. We scraped it together. Those of us that live in that Gen X world where we're somewhere between 45 and 60 years old, we were kind of loners anyway. It's our generation. So we learned a lot of things quickly, but we learned how to do a lot of things on our own. So we're not great as a general rule for receiving feedback. So a lot of times it's just nodding and smiling and saying thank you when somebody's given you feedback and give them no feedback back. So feedback is receiving, not defending.
Yes.
So that's the first part. And the second thing is to see what common threads you're starting to see through your teams. Is there a common thread that you're starting to see where a lot of people are saying a lot of the same things and maybe a different way, where they're starting to say, hey, we're seeing lower level type of people show up, or we're getting this type of question all of the time. We're getting people who are asking questions that don't make sense based on the offer that we have. Like, where can we either encourage people to learn more? Where can we in our process before they get to the salesperson or whatever team member is giving you the feedback, make that shift and say, where could this be valuable? And also look at the data. Does it support? So one of the other sales teams that I support, they do it's a whole standard funnel where they go to the masterclass, they do all the ads and all the things to get them to the masterclass, and then they get them to a 3-day paid event, and then they get them to the $15,000 to $20,000 high ticket sale is the standard, right?
Yep.
And they decided they were going to change the topic for the paid 3-day event. And they saw a dramatic decrease in the number of people signing up. They were used to doing like big events, and then the economy shifted a little bit. It like halved, like the number of people who were registering. So everyone was panicked. The sales team was panicked. There were 7 people on the sales team, and they're like, we're going to have more than half of less than half. It was a whole thing. So right away, there was a conversation around next time we'll have to go back to the old thing because the old thing worked. The old topic worked. And I'm like, let's wait to see how many enrollments we get before we make this, because it could pull in a different type of person. No, we've done it the old way. I'm like, okay, I want to see what happens. I went in and stepped in and took over some of the leads. I had half the number of leads I had before. I made twice the number of sales that I did at the last thing. And the people that enrolled, at least my perspective of who I was seeing come through, were a higher quality person, and they were more apt to go into the $20,000 option than the $15,000 option. So when we collectively took everyone's leads, our percentage of closing rate was higher. Our percentage of per person amount of money they were spending per sale was higher. We had fewer leads overall. So we spent less time on calls, twice the amount of enrollments, and we made more than twice the amount of money. So everyone was happier.
Absolutely.
And so I went back and I was like, look at what the topic was. It pulled in a higher quality person.
And that's what we need to understand with our marketing. And I keep saying this, with the world of social media has made marketing so much easier for it to be at everyone's fingertips, but it has also made this viral version of catch up. I'm back. It kicks out there. I'm loving the face. I think you and I, by the way, later on today, are going to have to pull some of this out and put it into shorts. I think that this will be fun. It's going to pull some of this.
Definitely agree.
Okay. So we've got into this world of social media marketing where we're chasing viral and we're not chasing the quality of lead. Where have we got to a society where 20 likes on a post is a bad thing?
Look at what we think we want. People say I want engagement. I'm like, no, you want buyers. I'm sorry, but I would take 100 people in my social media over 1 million people if I had 50 buyers.
Exactly.
All day long, I will take that, because I know people who have millions of followers and they can't monetize it.
And they can't because they've got so much noise, they cannot make a sale.
Yes, because they're not attracting the right people and they're not attracting it for the right reasons.
Yep. 100%.
I don't care if 1 million people know who I am. I care if I'm paying my bills, and I care if I live the lifestyle that I want to live, and I'm making people happy with whatever it is that I'm selling at that time.
Yep.
Period.
And it's funny, the workshop that I'm about to run next week is called Inspire, Engage, Connect. Because if we don't inspire them, we don't engage with them, and we don't make the connection to make the sale, then nothing else is going to happen. And this comes down to everyone out there that's currently listening saying your sales team are horrible. I've worked all sides of marketing. I've worked sales frontline. Give me a close any day of the week. I'm happy to go for a close. Absolutely love going for a close. In fact, one of my roles was literally just close it. They've got everything to the thing. I'm just going in to close, right? I'm happy. But I've worked from the marketing message in the stage. I've worked from the call center where the guys are on the phone getting you the lead to go do all of that sort of stuff. And then I used to sit in there and there would be sales reps that would come into me and say, that lead is shit.
Yep.
Okay, cool. You reckon these leads are shit. You get your ass on that phone and you do the job that these guys do every day of the week, and you do it for 4 hours. And none of them could, because they couldn't realize the specialist skill that needed to be learnt to start that conversation or to get past the receptionist. And I'd say the same thing when they're going, oh, the sales guys aren't doing the job of closing the leads. And then the boys would turn around, or the girls would turn around and say to me, the team would basically turn around and say to me as a whole, I don't think either of us are doing the job. I said, fine, you get me 5 leads, random leads, grab them out there. I'm going out. You're complaining your territory's shit. Come on the road. Let's have some fun. And we would get out there and we would get out and close. And sometimes it comes down to mindset.
Oh, it always comes down to mindset. Always.
You are right. Forget sometimes. It comes down to mindset. It comes down to the fact that I don't particularly care, but also I'm now going out to prove to a sales rep that their leads are actually good.
Yeah.
I've not got any special-handed leads. You've done the same thing inside that area there. You've not got any special-handed leads, but we're going out to serve the client and go, is this a fit for you? Is this a fit for them? As a business owner, that's the same thing we're looking for. I don't take on a retained or a marketing client without talking to our team.
Right.
Because I got to work with them, and yes, I've got to do all the coaching calls, but they've still got to do the design or the copywriting work or the elements that have got to go into it within that process. And I made a decision very early on that I was no longer in corporate days where people told me who I was going to work for. So the same with the team. This is the client we've got. This is the potential, blah, blah, blah. And they have a veto rule of, Linda, I think we're bright, shiny object in here. And I think you've glossed over some rather red flag issues.
Yeah.
With a client, because you've got excited about the potential. This bit's not ready, or that bit's not ready, or that bit's not ready inside that space. And that, I think, is what we need to understand as business owners, that we've got to find the right fit for us and the right fit for the client, and stop taking everything that walks through the door. And monetization does not mean that we take everyone who walks through the door.
No, part of the sales team's job is to protect the company from the wrong people coming through, because one not great client could really offset all the really good ones. And I know that seems weird, but for my companies, a lot of times I was the salesperson and then I was the coach delivering what it was. And there were times that I was like, what the hell was I thinking letting this person through? And I'm like, okay, let me go back and think about where I was in that point and letting them through. So when I'm helping team members learn about that, or I'm stepping onto their sales teams to help them, I also have the coach on the other side of this who's taking that person from where we enrolled them. I'm taking that coach, I'm thinking about where's she going to be or he going to be when that customer comes through. Are they going to be a nightmare? Especially if it's a year-long commitment program. I'm like, I don't know if I could handle that person for a year, but also, are they really going to be right for this program? Maybe there's a hiccup here and there, but are they going to struggle? Because I don't want that either. And I've had people legitimately stop me at the end, like they're ready to hand over the credit card. They're like, here's your 20,000. Here's the amount of money. Here it is. And they're like, I'm doing this because you showed how I can believe in myself and I trust you. And I'm like, okay. So I have to check myself too. Did I make the right decision helping this person in there? Because that's what it really comes down to. Did you help them trust themselves? Did they trust you in the process? And did they trust that this was the right thing for them at the right time? That's your job to help say no when that's not the right thing to you.
Fantastic. And I agree 100% on that space. Okay. So we've talked about celebrating the word no. No has become a big word in the world of sales today.
Yeah.
But no is that big thing that allows us to stop burning out. And if we talk about it from the point of view now of you've let that person through, I know I've let that person through. I actually said no and then still let them through. I don't know what the hell I was thinking of at the time when I did that.
Been there.
Got sick. My husband took over. Inside about 3 or 4 weeks, he's turned around and gone, no, this person's no longer working. I'm not letting them talk to the team like that. The decision was made and they were moved on.
Yeah.
But I was like, I did this to us. I have to wear the brunt of it. I won't put the team in front of it. So I burnt myself out inside that process. So how do we, when we go through this process and we've made the wrong decision, and we do make the wrong decision, how do we get ourselves out of that process?
You're very clear with yourself and with your team, and then also with that person. Because when it's not the right thing, everyone feels it. Like everyone, there is no one who's shocked when we make that decision. There was no person I ever had on a team where I fired someone, no one that ever walked out, that anybody was really shocked by any of it. So let's just talk about what, the white elephant, right? So you just deal with it as soon as possible. I have never had someone who let a client go or let go a team member where they said, God, I wish I had waited longer. No one ever does that.
I don't think I've ever done that.
I should have done this before. So the second it's not the right thing, you have to just come clean. And you say, look, this isn't the right fit. I'm sure you feel it. I know we feel it. I want you to get what you need, and I want my team to get what we need. So how about we end this relationship as friends? This is how we're going to do it. Like, you have a process. Because there's no point where you don't screw up something somewhere, or you missed something, or you wanted it so bad for them that you let them through, even though all the bells and whistles were going off. It wasn't the right fit. Every person you have ever dated, was that the right person? Did you marry the first person you ever? Some people have, but most of us have to kiss a few frogs, right? And there's a reason for that. We're learning stuff. So let's just get clear about it and just put a call on there and fix it. Or it's not the wrong thing. You saw something, they were showing up in some way because of some other wounded issue that they had. One of our best clients, who actually ended up being a coach for one of my teams for a long time, we didn't celebrate her birthday. So we celebrated all our clients' birthdays online in the group. We got all excited, each individual birthday, and somehow her birthday wasn't in the system. We didn't get the alert. All of the things. And it was a wound from when she was a kid, that her mother forgot her birthday when she was a child. Like, we stepped in it, right?
Yeah.
She didn't say anything for weeks, but she was like this star client, and then she disappeared. And so finally I was reaching out, like, where'd you go? And she finally showed up for a call. I said, let's get on a call, because I knew something was sideways. And she got on and she laid into me for 20 minutes. And I was like, okay, she needs to be heard. She doesn't feel seen, thinks she abandoned us. Okay. And I let her just go off. And I said, okay. And then I said, okay, so what can we do? Or is there anything that we can do where this can get repaired? Or is this a situation where we're both we're done? And she stopped and she looked up and she started to cry. And she said, nobody's ever asked me that before. And I was like, cool. So she said, I think there is a way back. And I said, tell me what it is. And I was also open to the fact that I wasn't necessarily going to be willing to do what she was going to be asking. But what she asked for was completely reasonable. I said, how about we do that? And we add a couple extra one-on-ones for you, because you disappeared on us the last 2 months. She was like, and really what it came down is she didn't feel seen or heard or understood. And I totally was like, we screwed up. We fucked up big. So sorry. Can we repair it? It was a huge thing. She turned around and ended up getting all of the things that she wanted to be in the program. She reversed autoimmune conditions, a whole bunch of things in our wellness program. And she ended up being such a star client after that, because she felt so seen and heard and open to the fact that I was going to hear her. She ended up becoming a coach for me for years. So sometimes going right up against it, it ends up fixing it.
Absolutely. I'm Guys, I'm going to give you a story. I used to be a troubleshooter for a large recruitment firm here in Australia. And I used to, every couple of months, take over a new branch, blah, blah, blah. And the first email that I used to send out was, depending on how badly we screwed up, was, "Hi, I'm the new troubleshooter. I know you've been on our database for a while. I know we've done some things that are not so great. If I can repair it, please feel free to respond to the email and I'll happily work with you to see if we can repair it. If you are happy, I'm sure the team would love to hear that we have some happy clients. Please respond to this email and let me know so I can say thank you." And so it was a case of, if I was coming into town, everyone knew. And the team always knew because I would send a coffee machine before I got to the location.
That's great.
And they'd be like, "Okay, Linda's coming because there's a coffee machine coming to our space."
Yeah.
And the first conversation I would have with our team was the same point. We've screwed up. We've got to admit that we screwed up. Now, it may not be you personally, but there's been teams as a brand. We screwed it up. So we've now got to make sure that we make things better. We build our brand reputation back up. We go through all of that one. Now, I had a branch that was hemorrhaging close to $16,000 a month out.
Super
fun. Inside 3 months. This was one that we should never have, even when I was sent there and I'm like, "No, please send me to that location. I know that location has money. Please send me. There is work for us there." And the boss turned around and said, "But we normally just close this on this. We just close that branch. It's a loss." Still running today, 20 years later, still
nice.
Highly profitable now because we owned our mistake.
Yes. Huge. Very few people do that. Yeah, you're like, "I just messed up. Is there anything I can do to fix it?" And the fact that you came at it from that perspective, that's a whole piece of psychology that most people aren't willing to do because our egos get in the way.
Yeah.
They're going to hate me if I don't fix it. They're not going to hate me if I do fix it. But if they don't give me the opportunity to fix it, there was nothing else I could have done either, because we're human. We make mistakes. We get that. But how often have you had a company say, "Yeah, we messed up, and you can tell us how to fix it"? You still get the opportunity to say, "No, I'm not willing to fix it like that."
Oh, and I did, believe me, there was one person out there that said to me, "I burned through recruitment agencies." And I'm like, "Cool." I said, "Here's my card. When you've burnt through the rest of the agencies, my rate's just gone up by 3%.
And people will take that when you're straight with them.
Yeah. It's like, once you've burnt through everyone else, feel free. This is it. But
Yeah,
my
come on
rate's now
back.
3% more than what I just told you it is, because you've told me you're going to be a pain in the butt client.
Yes. And that's the PETA fee, the pain in the ass fee. Yep. You're going to hit them with that. And we're clear about that. We're upcharging you for this reason. Okay, cool. But he knows he is that guy. I just assumed it was a guy, but okay.
It was actually a guy, but it was a rather large brand. And if I was in desperation mode, I would have gone and I would have played his game.
Yep.
But I was in longevity, establishing the business, getting everything running through that space. Kirstin, this has been so much fun talking to you. I've had a blast talking to you today. Guys,
me too.
This podcast is definitely tangented within all different areas. And I'm sure you've got questions for Kirstin about how do we manage this sales process without burnout. So Kirstin, where do our members find you and how can they connect with you?
That is a great thing. So I really don't do the social media game unless you're on LinkedIn. So you can absolutely find me on LinkedIn, but evolveminded.com is the fastest, easiest way to get to information on me. And I have a free, you can pay with your email address, free
transfer
opportunity. Exactly. The energy exchange, my favorite thing. The 7 biggest sales mistakes costing you high ticket clients and how to fix them. So you can go right to evolveminded.com/7 mistakes, or it's right there on the homepage. You can just click on it.
Fantastic. Kirstin, thank you for joining us. I want everyone to listen to that process today. You would have heard Kirstin say that there is a process to getting high ticket clients.
Absolutely.
We just don't go straight with the high ticket offering. We have got different areas for being able to run that. So look at that download, look at that 7 mistakes, look at connecting inside that space. I've had an absolute blast talking to Kirstin on the podcast. I'm slightly glad that Clive wasn't here today. Sorry, guys, I forgot to mention Clive's not here today in the podcast. But we've had a blast talking about the world of marketing and the world of sales. It is what you create it to be. Don't create it to be a world of desperation. Create it to be a world of connection so that you can make the right connections for you, your team, your business, and your clients.
Reed, thank you.
Thanks, Kirstin.
Thanks for listening to the Business Owners Podcast. We encourage you to connect with us on social media and join our community of business owners at businessbusinessbusiness.com.au.